The stars looked beautiful tonight. Dr. Jiwoo stood at her desk staring at the monitor screen. Numbers filled the display, but something was wrong. The energy readings made no sense. She had been working at the Deep Space Monitoring Facility in South Korea for 5 years, and she had never seen anything like this before. "Kyung-soo, come look at this," she called to her colleague. Dr. Kyung-soo walked over carrying his coffee mug. He was a quantum physicist, and Jiwoo trusted his opinion more than anyone else in the facility. "What am I looking at?" he asked, leaning closer to the screen. "Energy signatures. Multiple sources. They're approaching our solar system." Jiwoo pointed at the data. "They're moving too fast to be natural objects, and the energy output is massive." Kyung-soo's face went pale. He set his coffee down and started typing commands into the computer. "Run it again. Check for errors." Jiwoo had already checked 3 times. There were no errors. Whatever was coming toward Earth was real, and it was not friendly. She picked up the phone and called Admiral Sung-ho at the United Space Defense Force headquarters. The admiral was a veteran military officer, one of the few people who took threats from space seriously. "Admiral, we have a situation," Jiwoo said when he answered. "Unknown objects approaching Earth. They'll be here in 72 hours. There was silence on the other end. Then Sung-ho spoke, his voice calm but serious. "Send me everything you have. I'm calling an emergency meeting." Far above Earth's atmosphere, Commander Dae-won sat in the command chair of his ship. He was in charge of the Galactic Coalition reconnaissance fleet. His mission was simple: survey Earth and report back. The Coalition had discovered that this small blue planet had rare minerals that took centuries to form on other worlds. These minerals were perfect for making advanced weapons. "Commander, we're approaching the target planet," said Science Officer Hae-jin. She was young but skilled at her job. "Scans show a primitive civilization. They have basic technology. No space weapons. No shields." Dae-won nodded. "Good, contact High Chancellor Taemin. Tell him we found what we're looking for." Back on the Coalition homeworld, Chancellor Taemin received the report with satisfaction. He was the leader of the Galactic Coalition, a group of alien species that controlled a large part of the galaxy. They had advanced technology and powerful weapons. Earth was nothing to them, just another resource to claim. "How long until they develop space travel?" Taemin asked his advisors. "At their current rate, approximately 100 years, an advisor replied. Taemin smiled. "Then we don't have time to waste. Order Commander Dae-won to eliminate the humans and secure the planet. Make it quick and clean." The order came through while Dae-won was reviewing the planet's defenses. He read it twice, then forwarded it to his weapons officer. "Prepare orbital bombardment. Target major population centers." Hae-jin looked uncomfortable. "Commander, there are billions of them down there." "They're primitives," Dae-won said coldly. "The Chancellor has given his orders. We follow them." On Earth, Admiral Sung-ho stood in the emergency command center. World leaders filled the screens around him, their faces showing fear and confusion. Jiwoo and Kyung-soo stood nearby, their data displayed on the main monitor. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sung-ho began, "we are facing an existential threat. These objects are not asteroids or comets. They are ships. Alien ships. And based on their approach vector, they are not here to say hello." The room erupted in shouting. Some leaders demanded proof. Others wanted to attempt communication. A few suggested immediate military action. Sung-ho let them argue for a moment, then raised his hand for silence. "We don't have time for debate," he said firmly. "I recommend we activate Project Prometheus immediately." Several leaders looked confused. The President of the United States leaned forward. "Admiral, that project is classified. Most of us don't even know it exists." "Then it's time you learned," Sung-ho replied. "For the past 30 years, a secret international coalition has been preparing for this exact scenario. We've built weapons. We've built ships. We've been ready for the day when something from out there decided to visit us with bad intentions." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Jiwoo's hands flew across her keyboard. "They're firing. Energy weapons detected." The first beams of light struck Earth's atmosphere. Cities across the planet erupted in flames. New York, Beijing, London, Moscow, Tokyo. One by one, humanity's greatest cities burned. Millions died in seconds. The orbital bombardment was precise and devastating. The coalition ships hung in space like gods of destruction, raining fire on the helpless world below. In the command center, people screamed and cried as reports came in. The death toll climbed rapidly. Infrastructure collapsed. Power grids failed. Communications went dark in entire regions. It was chaos. Admiral Sung Ho stood perfectly still, his face like stone. He had been a soldier for 40 years. He had seen war, death, and suffering. But this was different. This was extinction. Unless he acted now. All world leaders, listen carefully, he said, his voice cutting through the panic. You have two choices. You can sit here and watch humanity die, or you can give me full military authority right now, and I'll show these aliens why attacking Earth was the biggest mistake of their lives. The President of the United States spoke first. You have my authorization, Admiral. One by one, the other leaders agreed. Within minutes, Admiral Sung Ho had complete control of every military force on Earth. He turned to his communications officer. Send the activation codes to all Prometheus facilities. Tell them to bring everything online. Every weapon, every ship, every soldier. He paused, his eyes hard. And get me Engineer Yu Jin. It's time to show these bastards what humanity is really capable of. High above, Commander Daewon watched the planet burn. Excellent work, he told his crew. Send a message to the surface. Tell them they have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. If they refuse, we'll finish the job. Heejin prepared the message, but her hand shook as she typed. She looked at the burning cities on her screen. All those people, all those lives, gone in an instant. And for what? Minerals? Resources? It felt wrong. Deeply wrong. Message sent, Commander, she said quietly. Good, Daewon replied. Report back to Chancellor Taemin. Tell him Earth will be ours within the week. He leaned back in his chair, satisfied. This had been easier than expected. The humans had put up no resistance at all. Just as the scans had predicted, they were helpless. But deep beneath Earth's surface, in hidden facilities scattered across every continent, something was waking up. Lights flickered on in massive underground hangars. Weapon systems powered up. Ships that had waited in darkness for decades began their startup sequences. And thousands of men and women who had trained for a war they hoped would never come stood at attention, ready to defend their home. Admiral Sung Ho received the surrender demand and deleted it without reading past the first line. He had no intention of surrendering. Not now, not ever. The aliens thought this was over. They thought humanity was beaten. They had made a terrible mistake. They had poked the sleeping giant. And now the giant was awake. And it was very, very angry. Chancellor Taemin refused to believe the reports. 2 frigates destroyed by primitives? Impossible. He stood in the Coalition Council chamber, surrounded by holographic displays showing the battle data. His advisors looked nervous, but he would not show weakness. Send Vice Admiral Minki with the 5th Fleet, Taemin ordered. Tell him to crush these humans quickly. I want this embarrassment ended. Vice Admiral Minki was not pleased with his assignment. He commanded one of the Coalition's most powerful fleets. Sending him to deal with a primitive planet felt like an insult. When his ships arrived at Earth, he barely looked at the tactical reports. Commander Daewon exaggerates, Minki told his officers. These humans got lucky once. We will attack with overwhelming force and end this quickly. What Minki didn't know was that Admiral Sung Ho had been waiting for exactly this response. He knew the Coalition would send reinforcements. He knew they would be arrogant. And he had prepared a surprise. They're coming in predictable formation, Sung Ho observed, watching the Coalition fleet approach. Standard military doctrine. They're not expecting resistance, good. Spring the trap. Engineer Yu Jin had been busy while the Coalition prepared their attack. She had created something special, something the aliens had never seen. The Ghost Fleet. These ships were different from Bora's fighters. They were larger, more powerful, and completely invisible to Coalition sensors. Yu Jin had used every trick she knew to make them undetectable. Advanced stealth coatings. Energy dampening fields. Even their engine signatures were masked. The Ghost Fleet was commanded by volunteers, men and women who had piloted cargo ships, passenger transports, and commercial vehicles. They weren't military, but they were brave. And they were angry. Jae-sung had been a cargo pilot for 15 years before the attack. He had transported supplies between continents. Now he sat in the cockpit of a ghost ship waiting for orders. His family had died in Seoul when the aliens bombed it. This was personal. Ghost Fleet, this is Admiral Sung Ho. The voice came through his headset. The enemy fleet is entering the kill zone. Wait for my signal. Make every shot count. For Earth. For Earth, Jae-sung repeated quietly. Vice Admiral Minki watched the empty space ahead with satisfaction. The humans were not responding to his fleet's approach. They were probably hiding, cowering, as they should be. Deploy weapons. Prepare to bombard the planet again, Minki ordered. This time we'll finish what Day One started. That's when the Ghost Fleet struck. One moment, Coalition sensors showed empty space. The next moment, 30 human ships appeared at point-blank range, their weapons already firing. Jae-sung's first shot destroyed a Coalition cruiser's engine section. His second hit the weapons array. Around him, other Ghost ships were doing the same. The Coalition fleet was in chaos. They couldn't track targets they couldn't see. Return fire, Minki screamed. Where are they? Someone find them. But finding them was impossible. The Ghost ships fired, then disappeared again before the Coalition could respond. It was like fighting shadows. And the Coalition was losing badly. Captain Bora watched from a distance with her fighter squadron. Admiral, should we engage? Negative, Sung-ho replied. Save your missiles. We have another target. Hejin has provided us with access codes to the command carrier. We're going after Vice Admiral Minki himself. Hejin sat in a quiet room on Earth surrounded by computer equipment. She had made her choice. She could no longer support the Coalition's actions. The genocide, the destruction. It was wrong. When Commander Daewon's ship had docked for repairs, she had secretly transmitted the access codes to Earth. Now those codes were being used against her own people. She felt guilty, but she felt right. The humans were defending their home. The Coalition was the aggressor. History would judge her, but she could live with that. Bora's squadron approached the command carrier. Using Hejin's codes, they bypassed the shield generators and fired directly at critical systems. The carrier shuddered under the assault. Warning alarms filled every corridor. All ships retreat, Minki ordered, his pride forgotten. Get us out of here now! The Coalition fleet turned and ran. They left behind destroyed ships and dead crew members. The mighty Fifth Fleet had been defeated by an enemy they thought was primitive. It was humiliating. It was devastating. And it was only the beginning. Back on Earth, the command center celebrated again, but this time the mood was different. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were winning. Admiral Sung-ho gathered his key personnel for a meeting. We've proven we can defend Earth, he said. Now we take the fight to them. Engineer Yujin, I need you to track their retreat path. Find their forward base. Dr. Jiwoo, Dr. Kyung-soo, improve those resonance weapons. Make them even more effective. Captain Bora, train more pilots. We need squadrons, lots of them. And me, Admiral? Asked Jae-sung, who had been invited to the meeting after his performance in the battle. Sung-ho smiled. You, Jae-sung, are going to teach every ghost pilot your tactics. You were brilliant out there. We need more people who can think like you. Jae-sung nodded, feeling proud. He had never expected to be a soldier. But war had come to his home and he had answered the call. On the Coalition homeworld, Chancellor Taemin faced angry council members. They demanded answers. How could the mighty Coalition be defeated by primitives twice? The humans are more advanced than we believed, Taemin admitted reluctantly. But we will not be defeated. I'm authorizing the deployment of the entire Coalition armada. We will overwhelm them with numbers. They cannot stand against our full might. One council member stood up. Chancellor, perhaps we should negotiate. Offer peace. These humans have proven they can fight. Maybe we should reconsider this invasion. Taemin's face turned red with anger. Negotiate? With primitives? Never. We are the Galactic Coalition. We do not bow to lesser species. This is a matter of pride now. We will crush them no matter the cost. Commander Daewon listened to this from his damaged ship. He was wiser now. He had faced the humans in battle. He had seen their capabilities. And he knew something Taemin refused to accept. Pride would not win this war. The humans were dangerous. More dangerous than anyone realized. He thought about Science Officer Hee-jin. She had disappeared after they docked for repairs. He suspected she had defected. Part of him was angry. Part of him understood. They had started this war with a sneak attack. They had killed billions. Maybe Hee-jin was right to switch sides. On Earth, humanity prepared for the next phase of the war. They had defended their home. They had won battles. But the real test was coming. Admiral Sung-ho knew the Coalition would send everything they had. The final battle was approaching, and humanity needed to be ready, not just to survive, but to win. Completely and absolutely, to make sure the galaxy would never threaten Earth again. The elevator descended for what felt like forever. Admiral Sung Ho, Dr. Ji Woo, and Dr. Kyung Soo stood in silence as the numbers on the display climbed higher. Level 50, level 70, level 100. Finally, the doors opened. What they saw took their breath away. The underground facility stretched as far as the eye could see. Massive spacecraft hung from ceiling supports, their hulls gleaming under bright lights. Soldiers in advanced armor moved between stations. Weapons of incredible design lined the walls. This was Project Prometheus. A woman in an engineering uniform approached them. She was tall, confident, and wore a name badge that read, Engineer Yu Jin. She saluted Admiral Sung Ho. Admiral, welcome to Prometheus. We're ready for your orders. Yu Jin gestured at the ships around them. Everything you see here has been waiting for this moment. 30 years of preparation. We have 100 combat spacecraft, plasma weapons, quantum missiles, and technologies the aliens have never seen. Jiwoo stared in amazement. How did you keep this secret? Yu Jin smiled slightly. We didn't tell anyone who didn't need to know. After we found alien artifacts in Antarctica in 1995, a group of scientists and military leaders realized we weren't alone in the universe. We've been preparing ever since. Kyung-soo walked over to one of the weapons displays. These energy signatures. They're similar to what the alien ships use, but different. Modified somehow. Correct, Yu Jin said. We reverse-engineered the alien technology we found, but we improved it, made it better, more efficient, more deadly. Admiral Sung Ho turned to face the facility. How long until we can launch? 6 hours, Yu Jin replied. We need to complete final system checks and brief the pilots. High above Earth, Commander Dae-won was growing concerned. Science Officer Hyojin had detected unusual energy readings coming from the planet's surface. Massive power sources were activating all over the world. Commander, these readings don't match our initial scans, Hyojin reported. The humans have technology we didn't detect before. Underground facilities, lots of them. Dae-won frowned. How is that possible? Our scans are state-of-the-art. They must have shielding technology, Hyojin said nervously. Commander, I think we should request reinforcements. These humans might be more advanced than we thought. Dae-won waved her concerns away. They're still primitives. Even if they have a few hidden weapons, they can't match the coalition fleet. Continue monitoring and report any significant changes. But Hyojin wasn't convinced. She had seen the devastation they caused. The burning cities. The dead civilians. And now she was seeing evidence that they had attacked a civilization that was ready to fight back. The thought made her sick. Meanwhile, Jiwoo and Kyung-soo were examining a crashed coalition scout ship that had been recovered during the initial attack. The ship was smaller than the main vessels, but it still contained valuable technology. Look at this, Jiwoo said, pointing at a display screen she had activated. Their shields operate on a specific frequency range. If we can create a weapon that resonates at the right frequency, we could overload their entire system. Kyung-soo's eyes lit up. Like breaking glass with sound, the shield would collapse from the inside. Jiwoo, you're a genius. They worked through the night, developing a prototype resonance weapon. By morning, they had something that might work. They brought it to engineer Yu Jin, who immediately understood its potential. We can install these on our fighters, Yu Jin said excitedly. If they work, the alien shields will be useless. In another section of the facility, Captain Bora was preparing her squadron for launch. She was the best pilot in Project Prometheus, chosen to lead the first human space combat mission. Her squadron consisted of 20 fighters, all equipped with the new resonance weapons and traditional missiles. Listen up, Bora told her pilots. These aliens think we're weak. They think we're easy targets. We're going to show them they're wrong. Our mission is simple. Get up there, hit their forward positions hard, and get back alive. Remember your training. Trust your equipment. And most importantly, trust each other. The pilots cheered. They were scared, but they were also angry. Angry about the cities that burned. angry about their friends and families who died. This was their chance to fight back. Admiral Sung Ho watched from the command center as the first human spacecraft launched into space. It was a historic moment. Humanity was no longer bound to Earth. They were taking the fight to the enemy. Captain Bora felt the acceleration push her back into her seat as her fighter broke through the atmosphere. Her display showed her squadron forming up around her. All systems green, weapons ready, target coordinates locked. All fighters, this is Bora. Enemy ships detected at bearing 270. Range, 500 kilometers. Activate stealth systems and approach an attack formation. The human fighters disappeared from coalition sensors as their stealth technology engaged. They moved through space like ghosts, closing the distance to their targets. 2 coalition frigates hung in orbit, their crews completely unaware of the approaching danger. On the lead frigate, a sensor officer suddenly noticed something strange. "Sir, I'm detecting unusual readings. Energy fluctuations." Before the officer could say more, Bora gave the order. "All fighters, weapons free, fire." The resonance weapons struck first. The coalition shields flickered and collapsed, overloaded by the frequency attack. Then came the missiles. Explosions rippled across the frigate's hulls. Atmosphere vented into space. The ships tried to return fire, but the human fighters were too fast, too agile. "Target 1 is breaking apart," one of Bora's pilots shouted. "Target 2 is venting atmosphere, they're losing power." Bora watched as both frigates went dark. Confirmed kills. All fighters, return to base. Mission accomplished. On the coalition command ship, alarms blared. Commander Daewon stared at his display in disbelief. 2 frigates destroyed in minutes, by an enemy they had thought was helpless. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Where did these ships come from?" Haye Jin pulled up the combat data. "Their weapons bypassed our shields completely. And their ships, Commander, they're using technology we've never seen before. Advanced stealth, high maneuverability, and their pilots. They fought like nothing in our tactical database." Daewon felt cold fear creep into his stomach. He had underestimated these humans, badly. "Contact Chancellor Taman immediately. We need reinforcements now." Back on Earth, the command center erupted in celebration. They had won their first battle. It wasn't over, not by a long shot. But they had proven something important. Humanity could fight. Humanity could win. Admiral Sung Ho allowed himself a small smile. "Captain Bora, excellent work. Get your squadron rested and rearmed. This is just the beginning." Jiwoo turned to Kyung-soo. "The resonance weapons worked perfectly. We can produce more, lots more." Engineer Yujin was already planning the next phase. "We've shown them we can hurt them. Now we need to show them we can beat them." "I have some ideas about that." The coalition had made a fatal error. They thought humanity was primitive, weak, easy prey. But humanity had spent centuries perfecting the art of war. They had learned from countless conflicts. They knew how to adapt, how to innovate, how to survive against impossible odds. The aliens were about to learn a hard lesson. Earth was not defenseless, Earth was dangerous, and humanity was just getting started. Engineer Yujin stood before a holographic map of space. Red dots marked coalition ship positions. Blue dots showed human forces. And one large red dot pulsed at the edge of the system. "The coalition forward base, we tracked them here," Yujin explained to Admiral Sung Ho. "It's their staging point. Everything they send to Earth comes from this base. If we destroy it, we cut off their supply lines and their reinforcements." "How heavily defended is it?" Sung Ho asked. "Very. Hundreds of ships. Automated defense systems. Shield generators. It won't be easy." Yujin pulled up more data. "But I have a plan. We've been retrofitting our ships with captured coalition technology. We now have vessels that combine our stealth and tactics with their durability. Hybrid ships. The best of both worlds." Sung Ho studied the information carefully. "It's risky. We'd be taking the fight deep into their territory." "War is risky," Yujin replied. "But if we wait for them to come to us again, they'll bring their entire fleet. We need to act first. Hit them where they don't expect it." Dr. Kyung-soo entered the room looking excited. "Admiral, we've finished the new weapon. We call it the Cascade Resonance Device. It's like Jiwoo's original design, but much more powerful. When it hits one ship, the frequency spreads through their networked systems to every connected vessel. One shot could disable an entire fleet. Sung-ho's eyes widened. Show me. They went to the testing range where Dr. Jiwoo was waiting. She had captured 3 coalition drones and networked them together, just like real coalition ships. She activated the Cascade device. A blue wave of energy hit the first drone. Its shields flickered and died. Then the second drone's shields failed. Then the third. All from one shot. Their networked systems are their weakness, Jiwoo explained. They connect everything for efficiency. But that means one well-placed attack can spread through their entire network like a virus. Admiral Sung-ho made his decision. We attack the base. Prepare every ship we have. This is our chance to end this war. While the military prepared, Intelligence Officer Yoon Kyung was fighting her own battle. She was a hacker, one of the best in the world. She had spent weeks breaking into coalition communication systems. Now she was ready to cause chaos. I've planted false orders throughout their network, Yoon Kyung told Sung-ho. Their ships will receive conflicting commands. Some will think they're supposed to retreat. Others will believe they need to advance. Their coordination will fall apart. And their equipment? Sung-ho asked. Yoon Kyung smiled. I've hidden malicious code in their systems. Nothing dramatic. Just little things. Sensors that give wrong readings. Weapons that take a few extra seconds to fire. Navigation that's slightly off. They won't know what's real and what's a malfunction. Psychological warfare, Sung-ho said approvingly. They'll doubt everything. Perfect. The human fleet assembled in Earth orbit. Captain Bora commanded the fighter squadrons. Jae-sung led the Ghost Fleet, and Admiral Sung-ho directed operations from the command ship, newly renamed Defiance. Hye-jin worked alongside the human commanders now. She provided tactical advice about coalition procedures and weaknesses. Some humans didn't trust her, but Sung-ho had given her a chance. She was grateful and determined to prove her loyalty to her new allies. All ships, this is Admiral Sung-ho, his voice broadcast across the fleet. Today we take the fight to the enemy. They came to our home. They killed our families. They thought we were weak. We're going to show them the truth. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not break. And when you push us, we push back harder. For Earth. For Earth. Thousands of voices shouted back. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, traveling toward the coalition base. The journey took 6 hours. When they arrived, the coalition was completely unprepared. Their sensors showed a massive human fleet appearing from nowhere. The base commander panicked. Sound the alarm? Launch all fighters. Where did they come from? But the coalition's response was confused. Yoon Kyung's false orders were working. Some ships received commands to defend the base. Others were told to retreat. Some commanders tried to ignore the conflicting orders, but their systems were malfunctioning in strange ways. Weapons wouldn't fire properly. Shields flickered randomly. Navigation systems showed ghost targets. Captain Bora led the first attack wave. Her fighters screamed through space, targeting the base's weapon platforms. The resonance weapons made short work of the coalition shields. Explosions rippled across the defensive perimeter. Jae-sung and the Ghost Fleet attacked from 3 different angles simultaneously. The coalition defenders couldn't track them all. Every time they focused on one group, another would appear somewhere else. It was like fighting an enemy that was everywhere and nowhere. Then Dr. Kyung-soo's cascade weapon fired. The blue energy wave struck the base's main shield generator. The shields collapsed, but more importantly, the frequency spread through the entire network. Every ship connected to the base's systems experienced shield failure. Hundreds of coalition vessels were suddenly vulnerable. All ships concentrate fire on the reactor complex. Admiral Sung-ho ordered, "End this now." The human fleet opened fire with everything they had: missiles, energy weapons, kinetic rounds. The base's reactor complex took devastating damage. Warnings blared throughout the station. Jae-sung saw what needed to be done. The reactor was damaged but not destroyed. It would take one more push. One critical hit. He knew what he had to do. "Admiral, this is Jae-sung. I'm going in. If I can get through the breach and hit the reactor core directly, it will cascade. The whole base will go up." "Negative, Jae-sung," Sung-ho replied. "That's a suicide run." "Then it's a good thing I'm volunteering," Jae-sung said calmly. "My family died in Seoul, Admiral. Let me make it mean something." Before Sung-ho could respond, Jae-sung's ship accelerated toward the base. Enemy fire filled the space around him, but he dodged and weaved through it. His ship took hits, but he kept flying. Closer, closer, through the breach in the hull. Into the reactor complex itself for Seoul, Jae-sung whispered. For Earth. He fired all his remaining weapons directly into the reactor core at point-blank range. The reactor went critical. A blinding explosion consumed Jae-sung's ship instantly. Then the entire base detonated. The blast was so massive it destroyed hundreds of coalition ships docked nearby. Admiral Sung-ho watched the explosion in silence. Around him, the command center was quiet. They had won. The base was gone. The coalition's forward position was eliminated. But the victory felt hollow. Jae-sung was dead, a hero. But dead. All ships returned to Earth, Sung-ho said quietly. We've done what we came to do. As the human fleet left, coalition reinforcements arrived at what should have been their forward base. They found only debris and wreckage. The humans had struck deep into coalition space and destroyed a major military installation. The message was clear. Earth was no longer on the defensive. Earth was dangerous, and the coalition was running out of options. The coalition council chamber was in chaos. Representatives from dozens of worlds shouted at each other. Chancellor Taemin stood at the center, his face showing the strain of recent defeats. The mighty coalition was falling apart. We have lost over 60% of our forces, one council member declared. Our forward base is destroyed. Our supply lines are cut, and the humans are still fighting. Chancellor, this war is lost. We can still win, Taemin insisted. We simply need to commit more resources. The humans are what? Another council member interrupted. Primitives? That's what you said when this started. Now look at us. We're the ones retreating. We're the ones losing ships. Chancellor, you led us into this disaster. Perhaps it's time for new leadership. Taemin looked around the room. He saw no support. Only anger and fear. His pride had cost them everything. He had refused to see the truth about humanity until it was too late. Commander Daewon watched from the back of the chamber. He had been summoned to give his report on the humans' capabilities. When it was his turn to speak, he stepped forward. Council members, I have fought the humans directly. I have seen what they can do. They are not primitives. They are warriors. Creative, adaptable, and absolutely ruthless when defending their home. If we continue this war, they will destroy us. I recommend we negotiate for peace immediately. The council erupted in debate. Some agreed with Daewon. Others called him a coward. But everyone knew he was right. The war was over. They had lost. On Earth, Admiral Sung-ho gathered his team for one final mission. Engineer Yoo-jin had completed the most ambitious project of Project Prometheus. She called it Olympus. It was a massive weapons platform that could strike targets across vast distances with incredible precision. It's ready, Yoo-jin announced. We can hit any world in coalition space from here. The kinetic energy alone would be devastating. Show me, Sung-ho said. Yoo-jin pulled up a holographic display. We could destroy their capital world. End the coalition permanently. Or we could send a different kind of message. Dr. Ji-woo leaned forward. What kind of message? Yoo-jin smiled. Watch this, Olympus fired. Not at the coalition home world, but at an uninhabited moon in their system. The kinetic projectiles struck with perfect precision. Over the course of 3 hours, they carved massive letters into the moon's surface. Letters that glowed with the heat of impact. Letters hundreds of kilometers across that could be seen clearly from the coalition capital. The message read, "We could have destroyed you. Remember that." When the coalition council saw the message, silence fell over the chamber. They understood. The humans had the power to annihilate them. But they chose mercy instead. It was a demonstration of strength more powerful than any weapon. Contact Earth, the new council leader said. Taemin had been removed from power. Tell them we request peace negotiations. Captain Bora led a small fleet to coalition space. This time they came not as warriors but as diplomats. Admiral Sung-ho had given her specific instructions. Earth would accept peace, but on their terms. The negotiations took place on a neutral station. Bora, representing Earth, sat across from Commander Daewon, representing the coalition. Between them sat Hye-jin, who had volunteered to act as mediator. Earth demands the following, Bora began. First, full recognition as a sovereign power. Second, a seat on the Galactic Council with equal voting rights. Third, Immediate withdrawal of all coalition forces from our solar system. Fourth, reparations for the damage caused by your attack. And fifth, a guarantee that no coalition member will ever threaten Earth again. Day-1 listened carefully. Those are fair terms. The Coalition Council has authorized me to accept them all. He paused. I must also offer a personal apology. I led the attack on your world. I am responsible for millions of deaths. I will understand if you want me tried for war crimes. Bora studied him for a long moment. You were following orders. And you've shown that you can learn from your mistakes. Earth doesn't want revenge, Commander. We want peace. Real peace. The kind that lasts, He-Jin spoke up. The Coalition needs people like you, Day-1. People who understand that strength doesn't mean crushing the weak. It means protecting those who can't protect themselves. Then I accept Earth's terms, Day-1 said formally, and I volunteer to serve as the Coalition's ambassador to humanity. Perhaps I can help prevent future misunderstandings, Bora smiled. Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. 6 months later, Dr. Jiwoo stood before the Coalition Science Council as Earth's representative. She was presenting her research on resonance technology. Scientists from dozens of worlds listened with fascination. Beside her, He-Jin helped translate the technical concepts. The key is understanding frequency harmonics, Jiwoo explained. What Earth has learned can benefit everyone. We're willing to share this knowledge freely. Science should unite us, not divide us. After the presentation, an alien scientist approached her. Your people are remarkable. A year ago, you didn't even have space travel. Now you're teaching us new physics. How? Jiwoo thought about all the struggles humanity had faced. The wars, the conflicts, the near extinctions. We've always had to fight for survival. It taught us to adapt quickly, to innovate, to never give up. Those lessons served us well when you attacked. And now? The scientist asked. Now we use those same skills to build instead of destroy, to create instead of conquer. That's the human way. We're at our best when we're overcoming impossible challenges. Back on Earth, Admiral Sung-ho addressed the United World Government. The nations of Earth had officially unified during the war. Now they faced the challenge of maintaining that unity in peace. We proved something important, Sung-ho said. When humanity stands together, we're unstoppable. The aliens tried to exterminate us. We showed them mercy. But let me be clear. The galaxy will remember what we're capable of. We are no longer the prey. We are the predators who chose not to kill. He paused, looking at the assembled leaders. We must never forget the lessons of this war. Unity is our strength, innovation is our weapon, and mercy is our greatest power. Those principles will guide us as we move forward into the galaxy. Years later, human ships traveled freely throughout Coalition space. Earth had become known as the world that couldn't be conquered. Young aliens studied human history and military tactics in their academies. The battle for Earth was taught as a lesson in the dangers of underestimating your enemy. But Earth was also known for its generosity. Human scientists shared their discoveries. Human engineers helped build better ships. Human diplomats worked to resolve conflicts peacefully. They remembered what it felt like to face extinction. They would never inflict that fear on others. Commander Day-1, now Ambassador Day-1, often reflected on those early days of the war. He had thought humans were primitive, easy targets. He had been so wrong. They were the most dangerous species he had ever encountered, not because of their weapons, but because of their spirit, their refusal to surrender, their creativity in the face of impossible odds. He was grateful they had chosen to be friends instead of enemies. Because if humanity ever decided to truly go to war, to conquer instead of defend, the galaxy wouldn't stand a chance. That sleeping giant was better left sleeping. In a monument built on the ruins of Seoul, a statue honored the fallen. Jae-sung's name was carved alongside millions of others who died defending Earth. People from all over the world came to pay their respects, to remember, to promise that their sacrifice would never be forgotten. And above the monument, visible in the night sky, human ships patrolled, watching, waiting, ready, because humanity had learned the most important lesson of all. Peace is precious, but it must be defended, and Earth would never again be caught unprepared. The aliens had bombed Earth thinking it would be easy. They learned too late that humanity's true strength wasn't in their weapons or their technology. It was in their hearts, in their determination, in their absolute refusal to give up. They had tried to destroy humanity, Instead, they had awakened something that would change the galaxy forever. They had awakened Earth, and Earth would never go back to sleep.